When I first started my job, I believed speaking more made me look smart. I tried to share ideas quickly, even before others finished theirs. But over time, I noticed something missing. People didn't feel connected to me. They talked less, and teamwork felt weak. One day, I decided to try something different. Instead of rushing to speak, I leaned back, stayed quiet, and gave others the space to express themselves fully. I looked into their eyes, nodded, and asked deeper questions. To my surprise, the atmosphere changed. My colleagues became more open, more willing to share, and even more creative. I discovered that listening is not silence. It is active respect. A good listener doesn't just hear words. They build trust, encourage ideas, and make others feel valued. And when that happens, the whole team grows stronger together. Welcome to English and Chill. Today's podcast is all about introducing yourself in English. Now, why is this skill so important? Because your introduction is usually your first impression. And you know what people say? First impressions last. Think about it. When you walk into a job interview, the very first thing the interviewer asks is, "Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?" When you travel abroad and meet someone new, you'll probably say, "Hi, I'm..." Or when you join a new class or meet friends of friends, the first step is always a short introduction. At the B1, B2 level, you already know how to say your name, your age, maybe where you're from. That's the easy part. But now we're going to go further. We'll make your introduction clear, natural, and confident. The kind of introduction that makes people remember you in a positive way. So here's the plan for today's lesson. We'll start with the basic structure of self-introductions. Then we'll learn how to expand with personality and interests. Next, we'll compare formal versus informal introductions. And finally, we'll practice together with some role-play situations. Sounds good? Great. Before we begin, I want you to imagine this situation. You're sitting in a room waiting for a job interview. The interviewer smiles and asks, "Can you introduce yourself?" What do you say? How do you start? Or another one. Imagine you're traveling. You meet someone from another country, maybe from the US or Spain. They shake your hand and say, "Nice to meet you. What's your name?" What do you reply? Keep these situations in your mind because throughout this episode, we'll practice step by step. So by the end, you'll feel ready and confident in any situation. All right, let's get started with the basics of self-introduction. All right, let's start with the basics of self-introduction. When you meet someone new, you don't need to say everything about your life. Just give the key points: your name, your age, where you're from, what you do, and one or two hobbies or interests. Let's try a simple example together. Repeat after me slowly. Hi, my name is Alex. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Spain, and I'm a graphic designer. In my free time, I love playing football and watching movies. Great! That's a very clear and natural introduction. Now, let's break it down. Start with your name. Always clear and confident. Hi, my name is... Add your age if the situation is casual. Example, I'm 25 years old. But remember, in some formal contexts, like job interviews, you don't always need to mention your age. Say where you're from. I'm from Spain. Or you can add more detail. I'm originally from Barcelona, but now I live in Madrid. Talk about what you do. If you're working, you can say, I work as a... Example, I work as a teacher. If you're studying, you can say, I'm studying engineering at university. Finally, share one or two hobbies or interests. This makes your introduction more personal and friendly. Example, In my free time, I enjoy reading novels and practicing yoga. Now, let's practice with a different version. Repeat after me. Hello, my name is Maria. I'm from Mexico City. I'm studying business administration at university. In my free time, I really like listening to music and learning new languages. Perfect. Notice that Maria didn't say her age. That's totally fine. She gave her name, where she's from, what she's studying, and her hobbies. That's enough for a natural introduction. At the B1, B2 level, I want you to add a little more detail. Don't just say, I'm a student. Try this. I'm studying computer science at university, and I'm in my second year. Or instead of only I'm a teacher, you can say I'm an English teacher and I've been teaching for 5 years. Let's practice one more advanced example together. Hi, my name is David. I'm from Italy. I graduated from university 2 years ago, and I've been working as a software developer since then. In my free time, I enjoy cooking and exploring new restaurants. Great job! Did you notice how David's introduction sounds more professional? That's because he added extra details like when he graduated and what he's been doing since then. Tip for you. At this level, don't be afraid to use the present perfect tense. For example, I've been living in Hanoi for 3 years, or I've worked in marketing since 2020. This makes your English sound more natural and fluent. All right, now it's your turn. I'll give you a few seconds to create your own short introduction. Think about your name, where you're from, what you do, and one hobby. Ready? Go. Excellent. Even if it wasn't perfect, don't worry. The goal is to practice again and again. So, to recap, start with your name, add your age if you want, say where you're from, mention your job or studies, share 1 or 2 hobbies. That's your foundation, your basic self-introduction. Next, we'll learn how to make it more interesting by adding your personality and special interests. Great! Now that you know the basics of introducing yourself, let's make your introduction more interesting and memorable. After saying your name, where you're from, and what you do, you can expand with personality and interests. This makes people feel like they know you better. For example, people usually describe me as friendly and optimistic. I enjoy learning new languages and meeting people from different cultures. That sounds much more personal, right? So, how do we do this? One simple way is to use adjectives, words that describe personality or character. Here are some useful adjectives for introductions: hardworking, creative, friendly, optimistic, open-minded, easygoing, responsible, adventurous, curious. Let's practice repeating some of them together. I'm a hardworking person. I'm very creative. I'm easygoing and friendly. Good job! Now, at the B1, B2 level, don't stop at just one adjective. Try to combine them to make longer sentences. For example, I'm a creative person and I love expressing ideas through art. I'm adventurous, so I enjoy trying new foods and traveling to different places. I'm open-minded and I like listening to other people's opinions. See how this adds color to your introduction? Now let's talk about habits and special interests. This makes your introduction more unique. Instead of only saying, I like reading, you can say, in my free time, I enjoy reading historical novels, especially about ancient civilizations. Or instead of only, I like music, you can expand. I'm really passionate about music. I play the guitar and I've been writing my own songs for the last 2 years. Another example, I'm a curious person and I love learning about science and technology. Recently, I've started studying artificial intelligence in my spare time. Notice that these sentences are not too difficult, but they give more depth to your introduction. Here's a quick tip. If you use phrases like, I enjoy, I'm passionate about, or I've been for, your introduction immediately sounds more advanced. Now, let's try a little exercise together. I'll give you a sentence starter and you finish it. People usually describe me as, in my free time, I enjoy, I'm really passionate about. Great job! Even if you just said 1 or 2 words, that's perfect practice. All right, let's put everything together in a longer example. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm from Canada and I'm an English teacher. People usually describe me as patient and creative. In my free time, I enjoy painting landscapes and practicing yoga. I'm also passionate about traveling, and I've visited more than 10 countries so far. That's a strong introduction. It gives her job, her personality, and her special interests. So, to recap this part, use adjectives to describe your personality. Add habits or hobbies with more detail. Don't be afraid to use phrases like, I enjoy, I'm passionate about, or I've been for. Next, we'll look at common mistakes to avoid when introducing yourself. Now, before we continue, let's talk about some common mistakes that English learners often make when introducing themselves. If you can avoid these mistakes, your introduction will sound much more natural. Mistake number 1, translating word for word from your language. Sometimes learners try to copy their native language directly into English, but English has different sentence structures. For example, in some languages, you might say something like, I have 25 years. But in English, we say, I'm 25 years old. Repeat after me. I'm 25 years old. Pause. Mistake number 2, using the wrong tense. Introductions usually use the present tense or the present perfect tense. Wrong, I work here since 2 years. Correct, I have worked here for 2 years. Repeat after me. I have worked here for 2 years. Pause. Another example. Wrong, I very like football. Correct, I really like football. Repeat after me. I really like football. Pause. Mistake number 3, talking too much and losing focus. Some learners feel nervous, so they keep talking for too long. But remember, an introduction should be short and clear. You don't need to tell your whole life story, just the key points. Name, where you're from, what you do, and 1 or 2 hobbies. So here's the golden rule. Keep it simple, clear, and correct. All right, now that we know what not to do, we can practice with confidence. In the next part, we'll do some interactive practice with role plays. All right, now it's time for some interactive practice. This part is all about role plays, where you can imagine real-life situations and practice your introduction out loud. Remember, don't just listen, speak along with me. Situation 1, English class introduction. Imagine you're sitting in your very first English class. The teacher looks at you and asks, "Can you introduce yourself?" Pause, 5 seconds. Go ahead, introduce yourself now. Use the structure we learned: your name, where you're from, what you do, and one hobby. Pause, 10 seconds. Great. Now here's a model answer. Hi, my name is Anna. I'm from Poland. I'm studying economics at university. In my free time, I love playing tennis and reading novels. Pause, 5 seconds. Did your answer sound similar? Don't worry if it wasn't perfect. The important thing is that you spoke out loud. Situation 2. At the airport while traveling. Now let's move to a different context. You're traveling abroad, maybe in the US or Spain. At the airport, someone asks you, "Where are you from? What do you do?" Pause, 5 seconds. Think about your answer. Ready? Say it out loud now. Pause, 10 seconds. Good. Here's one possible answer. I'm from Vietnam. I work as a software engineer and I'm here on vacation. Pause, 5 seconds for repetition. Or another version. I'm from Brazil. I'm a student and I'm traveling to New York for a summer course. Pause, 5 seconds for repetition. Remember, in casual conversations like this, you don't need to give too many details, just a simple, clear answer. All right, last situation, meeting a new friend at a party. All right, last situation, you're at a party. A new friend comes up and says, "Tell me about yourself." Pause, 5 seconds. This is your chance to give a slightly longer introduction with some personality. Take a moment and then speak. Pause, 10 seconds. Here's a model answer. Sure, my name is Daniel. I'm from Italy and I work as a photographer. People usually describe me as creative and outgoing. I love traveling and I'm passionate about street photography. Pause, 5 seconds for repetition. See how that answer is friendly, personal, and interesting? Now it's your turn again. Let's review quickly. English class, can you introduce yourself? Airport, where are you from? What do you do? Party, tell me about yourself. I'll give you 20 seconds to practice all 3 answers one more time, in your own words. Ready? Go. Pause. 20 seconds. Fantastic! By practicing these role plays, you are training yourself to respond naturally in different real-life situations. All right, in the next section, we'll do a quick recap and a short quiz to test what you've learned. All right, before we finish, let's do a quick recap of everything we learned today. First, we started with the basics of self-introduction: your name, your age, where you're from, what you do, and 1 or 2 hobbies. Then we learned how to expand with personality and interests, using adjectives like friendly, creative, optimistic, and adding hobbies with more details makes your introduction sound unique. Next, we compared formal and informal introductions. Remember, use your full name and professional details in formal situations, but keep it light and casual with friends. After that, we talked about common mistakes to avoid. Don't translate word for word, use the correct tense, and keep your introduction short and clear. Finally, we practiced with role plays in class, at the airport, at a party. Now, let's check your understanding with a quick quiz. Ready? Question 1. Which introduction is formal? A. Hi, I'm Tom. I love basketball. Or B. Good morning. My name is Thomas Lee. I work as an engineer. Pause 3 seconds. Correct. The answer is B. Question 2. What's wrong with this sentence? I very like football. Pause 3 seconds. Yes, that's incorrect. The correct way is I really like football. Repeat after me. I really like football. Pause. Question 3. True or false? You should always include your age when introducing yourself. Pause 3 seconds. The answer is false. Age is optional. It depends on the context. Question 4. Which tense is better in this sentence? I have worked here for 2 years, or I work here since 2 years. Pause. Yes, the correct one is I have worked here for 2 years. Excellent. So in summary, keep it simple, add personality, adjust to the situation, and avoid the common mistakes. You're doing great. Your self-introductions are becoming more confident and natural. Congratulations! You've just mastered one of the most important skills in English, how to introduce yourself. That's a big step because introductions are the first thing you'll use in almost every conversation. But here's the secret. The more you practice, the more natural you will sound. Try recording yourself. Say your introduction, listen back, and see if you can make it smoother. Try practicing in front of a mirror. Look confident and smile. It makes a huge difference. Or practice with a friend. Ask them to play the role of an interviewer, a traveler, or a new friend at a party. Remember, learning English is not about being perfect. It's about progress. Every time you practice, you get a little better, and little by little, your English becomes more fluent, more confident, and more natural. So don't stop here. Keep repeating your introduction until you can say it without thinking. Then try making small changes. Add a new adjective, mention a new hobby, or try a formal version instead of an informal one. This way, you'll always be ready for any situation. And of course, if today's lesson helped you, don't forget to subscribe to English and Chill. Here, we make English learning easy, practical, and stress-free, just like a friendly podcast that you can enjoy anytime. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep building your English step by step. I'm excited to see you again in the next lesson. Until then, stay confident, stay motivated, and remember, English is not just a language, it's your passport to the world. See you soon.